Let's do this as quick as we can because my priority is Chinese food. It's never you. It's always Chinese food.
Dude,
Takes a priority over David all the time, dude.
I feel like I could understand if it was like tacos, but Chinese food, I have to question your loyalty. Just in the same way LL Cool J had to question Omar Epps and In Too Deep.
Man, why do you got to mix food metaphors with some deep cut reference again as usual? Good job. Way to start the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the year 2022. Congratulations. If you're alive and you made it over, praise, man, because it has been a year and we've made it over, and this is the first of our New Year episode, number 13. Hello and welcome. My name is Brian Ortiz.
I'm David Castillo.
And welcome. Hey, David, how's it going?
It's going well. I really like the tone of your introduction, which is like trying to prevent the Balrog from passing a critical gateway.
Dude, that was the nerdiest thing I've heard you say on this podcast.
Was it really,
ever.
man? I don't think. I think that's just an obvious, an obvious reference. It's like, you know, Bullet Time and like a spoof film in the '90s. Like there's nothing clever about this.
You're on fire today with the references. Oh my God. Well, my goodness, sir. It's like you write for a magazine and you had to finish an article or something. Jesus. David, for those who are joining us for the first time in the year 2022, what is the show about? Well, it's a rhetorical question because I never like your answers. This show is very simple. What is life but nothing more than a series of reactions to educational conversations with one another? We have many things to talk about, but sometimes we never know where to start. So we use pop culture as social lubrication for one of us to get to know each other a little bit better. Blah, blah, blah. Let me try that again.
You don't have to repeat yourself. Just keep going.
For each one of us to get to know each other better. David, there we go. I haven't had my Chinese food yet. I'm really hungry, so my brain's not working. I learn every week we pick a topic. One week I'll pick a topic, and you'll learn something about me through that topic. The next week we'll do the same in reverse. You will say a topic, and I will learn something about you, David. And in the end, we talk about what we learned, our feelings, our emotions, allowing us to once again go from enemies to frenemies, then back to enemies, but then maybe one day deep-hearted lovers. Because as we said about many times, my job here is to bed you, David, as the point of this entire podcast was me just hitting on you so I can take you in the sheets.
In other words, like this podcast is It's Not Your Fault scene from Good Will Hunting minus the severity and the seriousness, minus all that. And the genius.
You're 3 for 3, dude. You are 3 for 3 in references today, man. That's how we're starting off 2020, baby. Strong as hell. Let's get right into it, David, because we have a lot to talk about and get into it today, man. Today is my turn for a topic, and as we rolled into the new year, which was fantastic. By the way, how was your New Year's, David?
It was.
Did you celebrate?
It was awful.
Awful.
Yes.
Awful.
Do you want?
What happened?
I'll try to condense this story really quick. All right. So
we're gonna. This is we'll introduce.
Time.
This is story time. Story time with David. Cue the music. David, tell me what happened, man.
So, a couple days before New Year's Eve, I had like this sharp, stinging, paralyzing pain right up my ass. And
what?
Yeah, and I couldn't sit down, so I couldn't write. And then I struggled to just even lay down. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You know, it felt like a hemorrhoid giving birth to another hemorrhoid. Except that hemorrhoid that was being birthed was like a breech baby. And I'm like, dude, I felt around it.
A multi-hemorrhoid birth situation?
Right, so I felt around, again, I probably should have like trigger warning this. This is a pretty gross story.
Yeah, trigger warning, if you have a problem with David's ass or multi-birth hemorrhagings and things like that, please, we'll put some time codes later. All right, continue with your butt birth.
So I felt around kind of like the gooch right cheek area, and it was an abscess. And I used to teach pathology at Career Point College, which is not like a humble brag.
Okay, that's another question in of itself. You taught pathology?
Anyways, the point is, I knew exactly what
God.
it was. So my thing was, I told Nicole, you know what, man, like this, like I've had my eardrum rupture, which is painful. This was even more than that. So I was like, let's just go to the hospital. Let's get this popped, and let's just, that's what they do. They pop it, not pop it, but they make an incision and they drain it. So I'm like,
God, warning, trigger warning.
Yeah, so I'm
oh
like,
my
let's-
God, David, are you talking about gooch abscess draining right now?
to gooch abscess drain it.
God,
So
2022 is starting off terrible.
how do you think I
Continue.
feel? So anyways, I'm like, let's just go. And before that happens, like I notice an odor, and I'm just like, dude, did I just shit my pants right here? Like right in my Cookie Monster pajamas.
Worse.
And I, sure enough, checked the chones, and like the thing had burst, and it was just like a puddle
Warnings.
of pus. It's a bacterial infection, so it's like pus, bacteria, and blood. And so all night New Year's, I'm just showering the blood out, the pus out, and so that was my New Year's. It was like, hey, here's a pandemic, Betty White dying, and an abscess. Fuck you. That was 2021's middle finger to me. So
I was not ready for that. There was no warning, David. I thought this was gonna be like, our car didn't start and we missed our dinner date and we had to stay at home. I didn't realize it was gonna be your gooch. All the sin in your body for 2021 was pouring out of your gooch hole that night. I didn't realize that was the story. Well, I had a lovely dinner and a movie with my mom for New Year's, so
I'm glad to hear that. Your mom's a great woman.
well, that's it. Thanks for story time, David. I guess that's the first of that segment, and that's a hell of a way to start it. So, yeah. With that note, let's start off with the first topic and question of the day, David. As the new year comes into play, we had a great episode last time where we kind of just reviewed the year, and we had all these fun lists and stuff like that. And this year I wanted to talk about something that I used to obsess about when I was a kid, and I'll be honest, probably had more of an impact on me than it should have. David, I want to talk about apocalyptic dates/warnings for the end of the world, David, because what better way to ring in the New Year's than talking about the destruction of it? Arguably, some people would say we are in an apocalypse, especially, with the passing of Betty White and going into a pandemic with another third form of a virus that we've all been fighting for too long. So arguably, we're in a pandemic. David, do you adhere to any of the crazy apocalyptic warnings, or did you ever, when you were a kid, used to freak out about those warnings?
I would say no. Like, I mean, well, not now. As a kid, though, for sure. Like, as a kid, the apocalypse has a kind of like a sort of Judgment Day-esque kind of meaning. So,
Right.
And of course, it helps that as a kid, I believed in things like the Bermuda Triangle and La Chusa and shit like that. And so,
Right. So you and I are in the same background. We both believed in the craziness of those kinds of conspiracies and worlds and monsters and spiritualness and ghosts.
And I think that's the appeal of the apocalypse, right? Which is that, like, well, there are things beyond your control, and one of the things that's beyond your control is just the immediate destruction and end of everything we know. Also, I think it's also maybe, without getting a little too political, kind of essential to religion in a lot of ways too, right? I mean, especially if you grow up like we did, Catholic, the Book of Revelation, right? The apocalypse has its own special meaning, for better or for worse.
Dude, it totally does. Was there one in particular that you remember as a kid? Was there one that you remember? Because we used to see that we had the Weekly World News papers at HEB all the time, 100-pound baby born to woman, I'm saying? Bat boy on the loose, right? Like they used to have all those crazy advertisements. And a lot of those every year always had, the world will end in the apocalypse. The devil is seen in the sky smoke of a mountain blowing up, like that kind of stuff. Was there anyone in particular that stands out to you as a kid or when you were younger?
No, but okay, yes. And it's the thing that I think started to make all of that kind of the paranoia and the weirdness, those like stupid, like, Bat Boy magazines from like the newsstands on like old grocery stores. It was the thing that kind of made all of that not just socially acceptable, but like part of storytelling, which was the X-Files. So growing up, like, once I got into the X-Files, then all of a sudden this kind of this paranoia was very much more socially acceptable. It was something that as a kid you can get into, and sort of crafting these crazy conspiracy theory. You know, every story had to have a sort of cancer man, right? And so I think X-Files was like a big move, like a prime mover in sort of this apocalyptic storytelling kind of
The X-Files allowed us to go from shut-in paranoid conspiracists to like outwardly loud conspiracists now,
Right,
because it
yeah.
was publicly okay. Like, you were in your basement connecting red yarn and ribbons to various things, and now you could actually go out in the world and be like, look at my yarn. You know, it's all connected to Pepe's.
Yeah, it used to
You know,
be
it's
it used to be tinfoil hats. Now it's just Facebook.
right. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that you were. I didn't know you were paranoid as a kid, like into that stuff. Like, that's something new I've just learned about you as a kid. Now, obviously, you're older. As an older man, a gentleman who has now released the sin of his taint with a clear head, do you can still believe in conspiracies or paranoias or end of the world scenarios, or are you evolved past that now, David? Did college destroy it like everything else in your life?
Well, yes, and I'm also glad that you're using this sort of the kind of the gooch ball as
Right.
kind of a linchpin in the same way, like, you know, smell of dick on your face was for me. Like, I'm glad that, you know,
There
we
was
kind
no,
of have,
you know what? There was one time I made a mistake. You never let me go, just like my dad. I made one mistake and no one lets me hear the end of it.
So listen, getting back to this, so as an adult, no, like I think, okay, well, I mean, I realize we're talking about two different things, right? The apocalypse and conspiracy theories, and I think that's kind of why I've just stopped the whole interest in conspiracy theories, which is not that I don't think there's credence to some things, but
Right.
just that I think there's so much wrong with just the everyday violence and the things that happen in public that, like, conspiracy kind of, it makes the truth like sexy when it shouldn't be. Like, you know, you go to like some underground forum that like sent you a Facebook meme that's like a clue to, like, you know, this bullshit that you read on this underground net forum and this blockchain that told us about, you know, it's like, think about Pizzagate and all that bullshit, and that I can't stand, and I don't think that's I don't think that, I mean, there are so many problems, and maybe
Right.
that kind of does bleed into a discussion about the apocalypse, because it's like, well, hey, you know, like, we already know what's happening to the planet. We already know about climate change. There's a lot of shit that's just that the world's majority of scientists have agreed are issues that we should address here and now. But of course we don't, because, hey, we still got to make money. We still got to watch the new Spider-Man.
How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? First of all.
Oh, so my bad.
You know, it's interesting you say that. It's almost like the apocalypse or the end of war. We have been desensitized to the idea of the apocalypse. You know, I used to grow up in a world where, with information coming out slowly, or when I was growing up, the birth of the internet, so things were starting to become quicker and faster when it came to information. Science evolved, right? But back in the day, you know, as a kid, all I had was to look up at that newspaper, and I was always told that what was in print was truth, right? And I was like, oh my God, it's true. Bat Boy exists and the world's ending, right? Like, I had no other barometer. And then it's interesting because over time, science and advancement has taught us more about the globe and the world being destroyed by various forms of environmental issues. So it feels like nowadays, when we were younger, we would wake up and be like, it's 1995. Today the world ends. Where now we wake up every day and say, well, it's another day. I'm dying and so is the world. Time to get to work. You know what I mean? And it's because we have so much information and have been educated so much that we all just agree that the world is dying constantly. So it feels like the apocalypse is just every day. That's another Wednesday for most of us.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. It's almost kind of, we've seen the world destroyed in so many different ways, especially since the 90s, that, like, you know, right, that was even there's even like people's comment, like, during 9/11, like, oh, man, straight out of a movie. Well, you know, shit, man, that's like all movies have been showing us. So
Yeah. Let me ask you this, David. When you used to think about the world ending in those kind of apocalyptic senses, was there one in particular that always got you the most, right? You know, some people say that a comet will hit the world and destroy it. Others will say that there will be a shift in the planets and it'll create, you know, earthquakes and tidal waves. And was there any one in particular that used to freak you out the most, man? I know mine.
as a kid, I have to admit, like there was, I can't, I think there's maybe something else, and I'm just like forgetting about it. But for now, I can say as a kid,
Yeah.
probably like the concept of the alien invasion, and I'll never forget
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Abel Ferrara's Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Now, like nobody really like
Ooh.
remembers that film fondly because like I don't.
I love Invasions of the Body Snatchers.
Well, I mean, but like right, there are a lot of different versions. You know, people.
Sure.
The Donald Sutherland. I think there was a recent one that was probably even better. But
It wasn't.
Man, the Abel Ferrara's like version is pretty creepy, and I rewatched it because I remember as a kid, like for one, there are a couple things that happen that you typically don't, and that you're not supposed to see, right? So like for
Right.
one, it was like Meg Tilly's bush, which of course she was pretty sure she was wearing a merkin, right? So nothing, and
Right,
also a
right.
kid dying, and so there was a real like creepy atmosphere to that film.
Okay.
I think a tone that movie gets that I think most apocalyptic films don't, which is like a real legit sense of dread, like from beginning to end. And I think it's fitting that it also takes place on a military base. So I think maybe
Yeah.
that was like the key to me, and that
Dude.
I think even now like that film still hits.
This is why we're friends, by the way. Like, the fact that you mentioned there's like 4 or 5 versions of of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, right? And I have them all on Blu-ray because I love that movie series and that concept, and it's always applicable to whatever decade it comes out in, which is crazy. It always has a message. But I like the fact, dude, that you, out of all of them, you mentioned 1993 Body Snatchers,
Yes.
which is like the one that most people forget even exist. And Jesus Christ,
have it?
you're right. That I do have it.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
I do. Of course. I'm no fool, David. When I say I like Invasion, I got them all. Starting back from the 50s to now, okay? Nothing like, influencing you as a child to scare you about how the world will end, but also Bush. Thanks, 1993. No, that's absolutely legit. I do feel that. Mine was always, I was less worried about comets hitting us, and I was always more about like the world getting broken through environmental issues. Like we do something to the earth, right? Which would cause specifically some type of earthquake, right? That would destroy like California or whatever. But mostly tidal waves, man. Tidal waves. And you know what it
shit.
was? You know what it was that really solidified, and it wasn't even a kid, but it really stuck with me, and I've never been able to like not see it again, was 1998's Deep Impact. Spoiler alert, the end of that one is like a part of the world does get hit, right? And it causes a goddamn giant-ass tidal wave. And I remember Tia Leone is in it. Ooh, God, love Tia Leone. And her, and I think maybe her dad at the end of the movie couldn't get away. So she went to go get the dad, and the dad wanted to die. So he was
Yeah.
at the beach, and it's just her and her dad sitting on the beach watching all the water go back, and the tidal wave is beyond its height. It's unimaginable. And this goddamn wall, you have this wide shot of like 2 tiny people on the beach, and this thing just eats them. And I remember how fucked up that was to me, and it totally screwed with my mind. And I always think about like, I should live. Because of that movie, I used to think I should live further inland because I'm too close to the goddamn ocean. And I used to investigate how far a tidal wave would go in and push into America. And I thought as a kid that I would move more central because I was so paranoid that a tidal wave was going to consume all of America and I was going to die. Thanks, Deep Impact.
Yeah, man, you really internalize your fears. Not internalize. I shouldn't say that. Like I should say like they really kind of like olive branch in your brain. Like
Yeah,
like,
my brain fractures real quick. All of a sudden, I'm like three paranoid area deep into my mind, and I'm like, all right, now how do I prepare for this? And if I just move here, I'll live. I always thought there was we should research this, and if someone out there knows, you should let us know. I bet there's a geographical location in America that is perfectly safe from everything. Imagine if the outer parts of America were blown up by nuclear bombs, who's the safest? If a tidal wave hits America, who's the safest? If there's an earthquake in America, who's the safest? There has to be an exact point in America that is absolutely safe. David, that's where I want to move. That's where I want to move. And when this shit happens, David, and you're over here and the world is dying, and you imagine me being safe, drinking sips of tea on my porch because I'm in the middle of nowhere, I want you to know you're more than welcome. You and your wife are more than welcome to join me in safety if you can get away from the paranoid danger, doom, and terror that is going on. But if you can make it to me, bro, you're welcome to hang out. I will have 1993's Body Snatchers and Bush ready for you.
I don't even know what to say to you, man. Like it's your mind works in mysterious ways. I really appreciate it. But I think it's interesting that you feel like there is. I mean, is that like something that you use to like strive towards, like live as long as possible? Are you that kind of person?
Absolutely.
That, like, dude, like I just don't let me die, okay?
Absolutely.
You're like
100%.
the woman in Cliffhanger that like Sylvester Stallone is trying to like cling on to as she like dangles from the rope. Don't let me fall. Don't let me fall.
Absolutely. I want to cling on to life, to dear life, as long as I can, baby. I want to ride this comet, this little rock, until it explodes. To the end, baby. Which is hopefully not soon enough because of, apocalypse dates and stuff like that. David, I wanted to read this to you. I found this great article, man, that had a couple of I picked out some of my favorite sounding apocalypses that I wanted to share with you. Because they might spark some things. It's just a couple. One of them was one of the first warnings from Assyria, 2800 BC. Okay, and it was this Assyrian clay tablet that had the inscription on it: "Our earth is degenerate in these latter days. There are signs that the world is speedily coming to an end. Bribery and corruption are common. Children no longer obey their parents. Every man wants to write a book, and the end of the world is evidently approaching."
It sounds like we have not learned shit. Like as a species, we've not learned a damn thing. Like we can go that far back and be like, oh, that describes what we're experiencing. Holy shit.
Yeah, that just sounds like the rant of a man on the corner street who probably makes a little bit of sense. You're like, oh, man. Just tells you where the mindset it was. But hey, didn't happen. We're still here, okay? One of the other ones that most people know is Halley's Comet in 1910. Halley's Comet, okay? That was a crazy one. It was announced in Chicago that it had detected poisonous gases in the Halley's tail. And a French astronomer, Flammarion, believed that the gas would impregnate the atmosphere and possibly snuff out all of life on the planet. Check this out. People rushed to purchase gas masks and, quote, comet pills. The New York Times had reported that the terror occasioned by the near approach of Halley's Comet has seized hold of a large part of a population of Chicago. This is my favorite because this piece reminded me of you. As people were reporting various things in different places, one man was reported to have said he had armed himself with a gallon of whiskey and requested that friends lower him into the bottom of a dry well 40 feet deep. And I highlighted this because I said to myself, man, that sounds something like David would do. I just need to highlight this for a second.
That I don't know. Like I feel like it wouldn't be whiskey that I'm like going down there with, but possibly.
Oh, sorry. It would be Scotch. And Baby Jabba going with you down into the hole 40 feet deep while me and Rick lower you, and you just stare at us and be like, I see you under the side, bastards, as we like lower you down to the pit. David, I think for safety, you and I should go out and get gas masks and comet pills. In fact, you know what? We should sell comet pills on our store one day when we get one. Just David and Brian's comet pills, guaranteed to save you if a comet comes and destroys the world.
If comet pills can like help ease the pain of an abscess, I'm gonna like just chow down on that shit all day.
Guaranteed to save you from a comet and fix your gooch abscess. Dr. David said, it's totally worked. My gooch is safe. So is the world. That's our comet pills for us, dude. It'll be your big face on there and me at the bottom, like looking like a doctor/circus performer at the same time to confuse people. It'll be great, man.
My face or my gooch?
Oh, we can't sell the gooch on there. Children can't buy it if we have your gooch on there, dude. I know we've talked about multiple marketing strategies with your gooch, David, but we cannot. I told you we can't do that.
By the way, like I should clarify, like I wouldn't call it like the gooch. It was just more like underneath the right cheek, right underneath the right butt cheek.
For the sake of the story, it's the Gooch, because that makes it so much better.
Yes, for the sake of the story. But
David, here's another one. The planets aligned in 1982. So in 74, John Gribben and Stephen Plageman wrote a best-selling book, The Jupiter Effect, warning that in March of 1982, when I think you were born, an alignment of the major planets on the same side of the sun would trigger a series of cosmic events culminating in an earthquake along the San Andreas Fault that would wipe out Los Angeles. Okay? That's more of a modern one for you, right? Do you remember hearing about Los Angeles getting wiped out because of an earthquake?
like all the time, right? Like pretty much all the like disaster-based movies were like, you had like a volcano and the La Brea tar pits, and Tommy Lee Jones's craggly face was gonna save everybody, and then
here's something you might. By the way, David, here's something you might like connected to this story. 1 year after the non-doomsday event, Gribben and Plagerman published The Jupiter Effect Reconsidered. It was also a bestseller.
This is just like cognitive dissonance at this point. It's like, well, it wasn't Jupiter. It was actually Pluto. Like when that aligns, when they take that off the list of planets, then that's when like everything goes to shit. Like I'm not really buying what they're selling here.
Basically, these dudes are just gaslighting the entire globe and selling books in the process. So, I mean, that's insane to me. That just to me sounds like someone's selling a book. We wrote a book about the world ending. We're going to make a big marketing ploy. It got out of hand, right? They're probably like, oh my God, this is getting too serious. People are panicking. Shit, we got to stick with our story. You know what I mean? And then they make even more money afterward. That sounds just perfect for humanity. Panic about something, buy something, and then as soon as it doesn't happen, buy something else about that. That sounds perfectly American.
Real quick, I was just going to say, can we just point out that it's funny how like so many of these bestsellers, these, apocalyptic gaslighters, whatever you want to call them, really keen on like just shit that like, what? The planets aligning, a fucking comet. But like there are so many things that actually exist that could be real threats beyond just like, what we've seen with COVID and viruses, but like super volcanoes, right? Those are just lying right beneath us. And nobody ever like uses that.
Super volcanoes aren't fucking sexy like a planet aligning, dude. That's hot. You know what I'm saying? What do you want, a boring volcano that just sits there quiet? Or do you want galactic problems to hit our small tiny rock? That's hot. Here, David, here's a good follow-up question to that. David, what's a sexy apocalypse?
I think a sexy apocalypse is one where that allows you to that it gives you an egg timer. That gives you time to be like, okay, what am I going to do in my last moments? Am I going to break bread with my family? Have a cozy campfire. I think that's regardless of like how or why. I think as long as you have time to like do some shit with your family, that's what most people. I think that's how you get people.
A sexy apocalypse would probably be like we talked about, or to me, earthquakes, right? Because that causes a lot of damage from a visual standpoint, so that's hot and sexy, right? Whole buildings and cities collapsing. We get tidal waves. It's real Roland Emmerich type stuff that makes for like real sexy ends to the world, my friend. Speaking of sexy ends, remember our time? We had our own sexy apocalypse that you just mentioned earlier. Panic in the Y2K, ladies and gentlemen, our favorite apocalypse that never happened. At least during this apocalypse scare, there was someone to blame, okay? Over the decades, computer programmers had used 2 rather than 4 digits to represent years. As such, computers would allegedly go haywire on January 1st, 2000. Since the dumb machines would not be able to make sense of the year 00, and thus the dreaded Y2K bug was born. And for everyone who doesn't know, it was going to cause a glitch across everything that was computerized that could possibly create nuclear war, to the infrastructure of monetary funds just collapsing, to your computer exploding in your face, for all we know. David, please, I want to know, where were you when Y2K hit? Because that was my first major serious global scare.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure watching End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That is a great answer. That is a great answer. God, I love that movie. I think it's highly overrated. That is a great answer. Great answer.
Wait,
Were you with your parents watching End of Days, or just in your room by yourself watching?
No,
End
actually,
of
I
Days?
actually like a freaking doofus. My high school buddy, you met him, Eloy. We went to see it in the theaters. Hold on a second. What do you mean overrated? Nobody, everybody rates that film as they should, which is like mediocre, even really below average. Now I enjoy it. I enjoy it. But
The Sixth Day is mediocre. End of Days is a much classier movie than Sixth Day.
You're gonna mention Sixth Day over Collateral Damage? That is mediocre.
Those are both mediocre, okay? The last two, we all know that let's just put it out there first of all. The last two good gosh dang Arnold Schwarzenegger movies are End of Days, okay? And Eraser. That's it. All right?
Eraser.
Everything after that, unless it's Jingle All the Way, everything after that is just what happened.
Eraser's a great one, man. Chuck Russell has a fantastic filmography. I don't know why that guy did not get more work.
Probably because of Eraser.
That's how dare you. What were you doing?
I remember specifically, dude, I was with my first girlfriend, okay? Me and my mom were at their parents' house. She was great. Her parents were really cool. Shout out to her. She knows who she is. I don't want to say her name without her permission, but she's a fantastic person. She'll never hear this, but she's a fantastic person, and I was very grateful to be able to go out with her when I was a kid. And I remember me and my mom, they had a really nice house with a big screen TV. So we were sitting there. I was trying to do one of two things. One, I was super horny and trying to feel up my first girl. That's all I was trying to do. God bless her soul. I was way too horny as a kid, and I was just rubbing up all against her in a very inappropriate way half the time.
Oh, God.
And then on the other half, we had the TV watching, and we sat there glued to the news watching. And I remember there was one small island somewhere in the middle of somewhere where it was going to be 2000 first, right? That was the first spot. And as the time rolled around to that one moment, I would be lying if I didn't say, David, I sat there amongst all of these people, quietly trying to feel up my girlfriend. I actually was nervous because I didn't have enough knowledge and information yet to completely understand why that wasn't going to do anything. But I remember as the minutes clicked, the seconds went down, there was a moment where I was like, should I have gotten a can of beans and a shotgun to protect my family? That's all the while being like, how do I feel my girlfriend's boobs through this dress? So many conflicting ideas at the same time, dude.
But by the way, so I need to get back to your story, but also I need to mention that I think I may be actually wrong. I think what I was actually doing during Y2K is I'd gone to one of my high school buddies' house, and for some reason we were all just him, his older brother, and his dad, who was busy reading the newspaper, and we were watching Scream for some weird fucking reason, and his dad, who was a lawyer and real kind of, no offense, best friend in high school, but his dad was kind of uptight. And in the middle of towards the end of Scream, he's like, man, he's talking to Skeet Ulrich. He's like, why does that guy cut his hair? Man, that's fucking nasty ass hair. I'm just like, what's this guy's problem? He's going to town, leaning hard in his Skeet Ulrich's hair, which I'm not going to speak to. I'm not an expert on the proper haircuts, but yeah, man, I remember your friend's dad complained about Skeet Ulrich's haircut in Scream.
So while I was trying to feel my girlfriend and then thinking I should probably protect my family's safety, you were spending it with your friend as his dad just thrashed poor Skeet Ulrich's haircut from Scream as the Y2K bug was around the world.
I feel like it's fitting that one of the lines in the scenes that he was criticizing was we all go a little mad sometimes, but it's interesting. I feel like our roles were reversed there. I should have been the one doing something socially
feeling
acceptable.
up a girl and trying to get rid
of but yeah, man, congrats to you, sort of.
Hey, dude, man, she was great, and it was my first major, massive, super sexual relationship with somebody. So it was, God bless her every damn day. Though it was my Y2K time, man. I remember just panicking and freaking out. And I remember when that 2000 hit, I was grateful that it was 2000 that we moved into that era. I was also grateful that we didn't die and I didn't have to kill some people to protect my mom, because I was a freshman and I was ready to murder anyone that got in my way, dude. What does that tell you? I'm probably broken inside. David, if the world comes to an end, like you said, egg timer, you've got 24 hours. What do you do, man?
I sit down with like a good meal. Actually, my favorite meal. I sit down with my family, and I have a chicken fried steak, cream gravy,
Ooh.
mashed potatoes, and I would say macaroni, but like I feel like at this point, like macaroni, I don't have like a taste for as much anymore. So maybe just like some fucking fried asparagus or whatever. But the point is, cream gravy, mashed potatoes, chicken fried steak. That's what
Chicken
I'm
fried
doing.
steak, mashed potatoes, fried asparagus with your family.
Because my whole thing. By the way, my mom makes brilliant homemade chicken fried steak. That's the shit.
Does she really?
Yes.
Dude, I miss chicken fried steak. I haven't eaten chicken fried steak since they closed down Lulu's.
Oh, I heard that was good too.
It was really good. Look, one, for those that don't know, Lulu's Bakery and Cafe had the world's largest cinnamon bun, which was insane. Also one of the largest chicken fried steaks in the state. God bless them. R.I.P. That place is closed thanks to COVID.
Oh man, that sucks. But real quick, I do want to mention that. Because my favorite thing to do is to write. So if the world's ending, well, like I don't have an audience to reach anymore. So fuck it. Let me just enjoy some good food with good company. Which brings us to Brian. I feel like there's gonna be like a movie or comic book here, and like you're just like, let me get one last read of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Actually, a rewatch of the movie League of Extraordinary, the superior.
Why would you choose that one movie? Good Lord in heaven. Good Lord in heaven.
I feel like you make excuses for that movie, but I'd honestly be with you.
I do make excuses for that movie. I say it could have been better. It's not as good as the book. It had its moments here and there, but I had 24 hours.
Let's go. 24 hours.
Here's a list of events I would do. 1, if they're not in my state, I would call everyone that I've ever dated and say I'm sorry and how much I love them. 2, anyone that I have feelings or emotions for, any type of love, I would go to them and I would tell them I've been in love with you for X amount of years, followed up by, can we fuck? All right? That's what's got to happen. All right? I love you. Can we fuck? All right? We fuck. Also, I'm going to get nastier here, all right? I blow every load I got inside of them because it doesn't fucking matter, right? So we're all just going to impregnate as many people as I possibly can in the process, all right? Then I go and I go to my mom's, right, after I'm done with that. And I probably have to pray with her for a while because she's going to want to pray. Totally fine. Doesn't hurt to get a couple of things just in case it's real and we all have to have credit before we die. Sit down, pray with my mom, okay, dude? And then straight up, I would like to crack open a box of my favorite beer, sit on the porch with my mom, hold her hand, drink a beer, and wait for that blinding light to hit us and go out quickly and quietly holding her hand. That's what's going to happen, dude. That's Brian's end of the world list, dude.
So no wonder Deep Impact like struck a chord. That's exactly what you do. Just like boom.
Exactly.
You and your mother.
Exactly. Look, if the world's ending and the globe is coming to an end, and we don't have spaceships that are taking us off this fucking planet, there's no point in running. There's no point in mass panic. Go be with the person you love. So I'm going to sit with my mom. I'm going to crack open a beer. We're going to talk until the end comes, and we're going to hold hands and we're going to die together. Do you know what I'm saying?
Can you honestly say that calling these sort of like ex-girlfriends, do you honestly think like they're going to answer the phone to begin with? And that
No, probably not. But if they do, I can go to town and rant. And if not, I'll leave a message. That's good enough for me at this point. They'll never check it because they're dead. I'm shocked, David, that yours is, you have that. So aside from the beautiful thing of your family coming together, like, do you think you'd all be laughing and being happy and sad, dude? Or do you think it would be a very serious time with each other?
For me, I definitely try to sort of like be excited because what fucking choice have you got, right? I mean, it's like, I definitely try to kind of, I feel like my family might not, I don't know. Actually, let me just like confess something that's really strange.
Confess to me, bro. I'm
not even sure
father.
I want to do
me.
this.
No, it's too late. We've put it out there. Come to me, David. Put your head in my bosom.
Can I suckle some teeth?
Suckle some teeth and tell me your confession, David.
My mom, and my dad have a quote unquote death pact, which is we've said if that 18-wheeler is like heading towards you,
Okay.
your first and only reaction better be to laugh your ass off. And which one, like, and I'm talking like MC Gainey, like mouth agape from Con Air type laughing, like just delirious.
So specific. It's so specific of a reference.
So we actually do have an agreement that, like, listen, if time's up, whatever, like we're about to get shot, I don't know, like, some heist gone wrong, just laugh your way out. That's really important. So maybe my parents wouldn't be that stone faced.
I like to imagine, if you're with your parents, that your dad at least would be wearing the tie that has your face on it.
No, my baby pictures.
All your baby pictures on it, because that'll be a way to go, dude. Your dad and you all just laughing and loving and laughing your way out, man.
What is your apocalypse? Hold on, what is your apocalypse meal?
You know what, man? I'm gonna go. It's kind of similar though. Like if I really got to pick what I wanted, I want the best cooked steak. But one of those really fat, weird ones, the kind where like you go to a truck stop and they're like, eat all 67 ounces of the steak and it's free. Like one of those ridiculously huge
like
pieces of
charbroiled
steak.
bullshit. Like it was basically like a burger.
Absolutely, just huge ass steak. Too many, amount of potatoes with garlic butter.
Oh shit!
And actually, the same thing as you, asparagus. So you and I actually have a similarity, man.
Real quick though, I'm curious. So definitely the beef, charbroiled, whatever, over Salisbury steak. You seem like a Salisbury steak man.
I fucking hate Salisbury
Really?
steak. Are you kidding?
Shit.
That's such a. I'll eat one if I have a weird hankering for eating crap when I was a kid, but that's such a bull crap steak. I'm calling it on the podcast right now. Salisbury is bull crap. If someone can guide me to a top-notch Salisbury, I will try it and be open-minded. But until then, it's just juicy patty garbage, okay? It's called a hamburger. Put a bun between that, it's a goddamn hamburger, dude.
Oh, man,
I'm dying on that hill.
Kind of surprised, man. I feel like you would have gone with, I don't know, something with a little Son of Orthe flavor. Like a proper.
What's that? Is it tacos and Mexican food and caldo and a bunch of stuff? What is that supposed to mean? What is it supposed to mean? What's the Orthe flavor? Please tell me. What is that?
To me, the Orthe flavor is something that is something unique, has a unique texture. You went straight to just like assuming I was like,
dude, you're describing you. That's you. You're the foodie. You're the guy who would try like infused taco smoke and think like this is delicious. Okay, that's you. I'm not like that. I want a hearty meal that's going to destroy my heart and just kill me. That would be great.
What is it? I mean, I just said chicken fried steak and mashed potatoes. I don't understand
which is why I'm surprised that it's not something more experimental. Can we all please just say that taco infused smoke sounds delicious? I just want to try that super bad, dude. You just vape it.
Avocado toast steak. I mean, like
see what I'm saying? Now we're thinking that's a David menu right there.
What I meant was you surprised me. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Hey, perfect. I'm glad to be constantly surprising you, dude. I like that. That's the thing that you hook onto. Not that I want to go bang a bunch of women and lay my seed, because that sounds normal. It's the steak that surprises
the less we focus on that, the better for you. I'm pretty sure.
David, if the world's not coming to an end, thank God. But as we go into a new year, we always try and look at the new year and try and come up with ways to improve ourselves in the hope that the world doesn't come to an end. So if this year doesn't come to an end, in the most classic of traditions, David, do you have any I forgot the word, David.
Resolution?
David, do you have any resolutions for this year?
By the way, you better keep that in, because that was me keeping you on your toes, and I don't want you to make it sound like you knew exactly what you were trying to say.
How dare you? Maybe I will.
Okay, so anything that
any resolutions for this year?
To me, like, resolutions are. Listen, I hate to be like the typical cynic curmudgeon. It's just like,
here we go.
If you're not already working on improving something or trying to like achieve something, chances are like a holiday is not going to change shit. Now, I'm not trying to like if that helps you, great. For me, like, it's just going to be continue doing the things that I've already kind of set out. One was finishing the book this past year. Now, of course, it's going to be like trying to find a big publisher for that book. And same with the hockey writing, just like reaching a bigger audience. With my wife, just being a good shared person, if you will, because I think that's kind of largely what you have to get used to, and what most people just like never adapt to. They never just can't adapt to the idea that like, well, your life is now somebody else's life in a certain way, and
Right.
and they can't fuck with that. And like I feel like I can because I got lucky, but
Right.
but that's pretty much it, man. And yeah.
Yeah, my resolutions, David, as always, I want to continue in the same vein that you said, continue to get swole. And you can't see, but I'm flexing on the podcast right now. I want to make these guns into pythons, all right? I want to make these deltoids into beltoids. I don't know if that's a thing, but it sounds dope, right? I want this gut to be cut in the shape of a V, my friend, all right? I want to still look good, as hot as 2009's Chris Pine, all right? That's the goal. 2009 Chris Pine. Here we come, baby.
What sucks is
That's
that
the
nobody.
goal, dude.
What sucks is that nobody can see your pit stains as you talk about like this.
I have no pit
I'm just
stains.
kidding.
This
Of
is
course, you have
this
to
is
lie
an
to, like-
active wear shirt, all right, that helps with sweat. I wore it for this reason, dude. I am pit free, you SOB. Pit free. Yeah, that's right. I knew you were gonna call me out on my sweat problems.
Oh, I'm wearing an undershirt.
Nah, dude,
though.
you're
That's-
fine, okay, dude. You're a sweet angel that smells of roses. All right, it has no sweating problems. I got it. I'm a tubby dude who smells like tacos. Copy that.
Listen,
all right?
I just told a story about like an abscess on my gooch the size of a golf ball. I'm not.
And yet somehow I'm still the one that's coming out like I'm still getting ragged at the end of this podcast. And here we are at the end of the podcast, David. And as we always do, that was a sweet transition. This is the part where I reflect on what I've learned about you. And cue the music. David, here are the things I learned about you today. One, you taught pathology. We're going to have a big old discussion about that because I can't believe that's a thing that you've never said to me. You also had your eardrum ruptured. But more important than that, you grew up in a conspiracy household like I did, David. You and I were both on the same track about conspiracies growing up as a kid, and the X-Files gave us an outlet to do that. But more importantly, as we talked about the end of the world, what I learned was something beautiful about you, David. As always, you continue to impress me. As much as you seem like a hard ass and a cynic and a man who will destroy you at the sight of pit stains, in reality, you have a beautiful heart inside. And at the end of the world, as this earth cracks in half and humanity is no longer, and our history is but a blip in the cosmos, you would spend it with your family, which is absolutely important, with a good meal, and you would, as you say so elegantly, laugh your way out, because there's no other way to do it than that. You know what I'm saying? And I love that the way that you look upon this new year, even though we're not dying, as I've so eloquently abbreviated here in my notes, in the words of David, if you're not already working, get busy dying. All right? A little bit of Shawshank, a little bit of David to put together. Because we have to continue doing what we already set out to do and continue to fulfill our future. That's what I learned from you, David. As always, continually pushing me to become a better man and maybe get a hold of a better deodorant. So thank you, David. Thank you for that.
I've got no follow up. I think that was well said. And man, I really. You've given me a lot to chew on over what topic to choose because
Oh, great.
you've revealed a lot. You've revealed yourself to me, as Tom Cruise tells Jason Lee in Vanilla Sky. You have revealed yourself to me. Another
Your references
I'm
are on
glad
point
that-
today, dude. On point. God damn. David, thank you so much for staying with us today and doing this again, man. I know you're a busy dude all the time, so I really appreciate this. David, any final thoughts for our people out there?
Nah, man. Like I just, I hope people are enjoying what is kind of like a goofy, sincere, sometimes shitty, sometimes like aimless, but ultimately genuine show. And yeah, man. I have a lot of fun doing this, and I always hate the fact that I feel kind of pressed for time because there is like a shitload of things going on in my life, just as it is for you. And if you are listening, please keep listening because we will try to be better. And that should have actually been part of one of my resolutions as well, like just making a better show for you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, and on that note, thank you so much for listening to us. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to like, share, give us all 5 stars, give us a review if you'd like. If you hate our show and you give us 5 stars, we'll probably read that review. If you review our show and give us 5 stars, we'll probably read that review too. We'd like to hear from you. We also want to hear about your thoughts and questions. We'd love for you to feed us topics of conversation, and you can do that by emailing us at recthepod@gmail.com. That's recthepod@gmail.com. And you can also reach out to us on Twitter at recthepod, as well as Instagram, and we're on the TikTok, ladies and gentlemen. Hit us up with questions. Let us know who you're talking to so we can answer you properly. But we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear from our community. We want to hear to all 5 people that are listening to us every week, which we greatly appreciate. Ladies and gentlemen, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2022. My name is Brian Ortiz.
My name is David Castillo.
Remember, if you're not busy podcasting, get busy dying. That's a quote from David.
Oh, all right.
Life's a Wreck is an FC podcast production created by Brian Ortiz and David Castillo, recorded in our homes and edited by me, Brian Ortiz. Theme song and outro by Hard Power USA. Check them out on SoundCloud. And please let us know what you think about the show by rating us and leaving a comment. You can also email us topics of discussion for future episodes at recthepod@gmail.com. That's recthepod@gmail.com. Hey, thanks for listening to our little slice of the podcast world, and we'll see you at the next episode.